Hey, what's going on, guys? Latebloomer coming at you with another Monster Hunter Wilds discussion video. So I'm here with Ryden and I'm here with Dell, and we're gonna start talking about our initial reactions to the trailer. So, what'd you guys think about it?
Ooh, man. Don't know where to start, man. I'll say it's funny because the morning that the trailer came out, I was that morning thinking, man, I'm ready for a Monster Hunter, man. Because I've been playing. So those of you who may not remember, big Tekken player. Dell's also a Tekken head, so Tekken's been out for a few months now, and so I was like, you know what? I think I want some Monster Hunter, man. And I texted one of my other friends who I knew was big in the GTA. I said, hey, if GTA and Monster Hunter drop the same day, what are you playing? We talked about that a little bit. And then later on that night, I go out, and then while I'm out, I get text from Late and from Dale talking about, oh, have you seen the trailer? I'm like, wait, what? And so I was like, okay, I gotta wrap up the date night with the wife. Gotta wrap that up. Get home quick. So
Nah, you just put it on pause for a minute. She'll understand.
Oh no!
you gotta get home and watch the trailer on the big screen. I get.
Oh, okay.
Finish
Got
the
the
date.
cinematic
This
experience.
date is over.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. It's time. So yeah, like initial reactions.
Oh,
Um, the trailer showed so many things that I always wanted to see. So the last video we talked a lot about how I wanted the world to feel more alive and to feel more like an ecosystem. And man, did they deliver on that right off the jump? Like showing as soon as I saw the little thing reach up out the water and grab like the little crocodile thing, whatever that was, I was like, "Yep, we in there. This is gonna be live."
yeah.
So yeah, so and then seeing the pack hunts and all that, it was great. So I'm sure we'll break it down more, but my initial reaction was seeing how alive they're making the world feel, and also just the aesthetics of it. And we could probably talk about that more too, but it truly feels like World 2 in terms of the visuals, which I was kind of really wanting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a better look at the art direction, seeing the just give me a thumbs up. Seeing the art direction, seeing the ecology coming, all that coming to life was exactly what I wanted to see. So my overall reaction was I was super excited.
How about you, Dell?
Yeah, I agree with the kind of verisimilitude with the it being realistic with the environments. Like that's always been something that I've liked about Monster Hunter. Even if it's felt more gamified when you play it, it still kind of gave the in the story. This is why you're doing it. Now it's like it's some of that being represented in visuals and gameplay mechanics, like up front and center, like first thing they show. Because usually with these kinds of trailers, it's like look at all the cool stuff the weapons can do and this and that and the other. And this was like, no, like
Yeah,
this is Monster Hunter the game. Like
right.
I'm almost concerned it's gonna be too story driven instead of being more gamified like some of the other ones.
Hmm.
Um but aesthetically though, like it definitely looks like a world sequel. And like the aesthetics of world were just kind of like on that like cusp of being just realistic enough to be cool, and then like also having a little bit of like the anime aesthetic that they normally
Right.
have.
Right.
And then with I also like the and the speak on the we'll speak more of the aesthetics, but I love the armor design so far. I think they look really good,
Yeah.
and everything they showed with like the visuals in combat too, like definitely hit like the fighting game kind of nerve. And
Mm,
I think they were going for that with like the zoom ins and like
yeah.
the I'm really happy with it so far.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, that was my initial thing when I started seeing like the follow up for the greatsword attack, like when he swung and countered and like knocked him over backward, and then he immediately like does something and he charges towards him, and then like I realized like watching it a million more times is that when he does the upswing, then he shoots with his slinger and you can see the string pulling him towards the monster. So that's like just a really cool like follow-up attack, and it does feel more like fight like, and it's kind of using moves that we've seen already before, like in Monster Generations Ultimate. And I think something similar in Rise, like an attack in Rise that you could do, like when you scroll swapped.
Mhm.
So I don't know, man. Like those were the things I saw, and then obviously like him blocking the attack at the end, Like as a greatsword user, I'm just like I don't know how that's gonna work, but
Yeah,
oh man, like
I
I
I,
I,
I
I,
feel like. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the only concern I have with that is I just don't want it to be a quick time thing, like where
Mhm.
you're like smashing the square to like beat out the monster. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if I want that, but they would have to do it in a really creative way for me to be okay with that. If they do it like that, maybe like if that's like another way, like instead of mounting, you do that, and then like that delays the monster a little bit so that other people can get an attack
That's
Mhm.
on.
what I'm. That's honestly
Yeah.
what I'm thinking it is personally.
Hmm.
I think it's a modified mounting system because mounting looked way too like subsystem. It's like all of a sudden there's a monster on you, and
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
like that. Like maybe it's like there's a success and a failure version now or something where the
right.
success is you're holding them off. The failure is he's going to jump on you and eat your face for a little bit.
Mm,
That could be interesting. Yeah, which
that
would
would
be
be dope.
it's like it's like maybe he's open, but you might get ready to cart in a second. Like if you can't live through it, that could be.
Right. Or it's like a stamina test. Like if you get hit by it, like how much stamina did you have when you got to it?
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
Oh man, then you'd really have to maintain your stamina, or you'd have to make bills for your stamina. I would
Yeah.
nah.
Well,
The
see,
build,
because
the
what
build.
I
Yeah,
would think it would be like an animation cue thing, he does some animation before he starts it, so like don't roll or hopefully like you haven't just rolled a bunch or something.
yeah. I think the build discussion is something we should definitely talk about, especially when we get to the two weapons thing.
Hmm.
I think that's one of the most fascinating things about it. But
So, what was your favorite parts of the trailer, and what were your concerns?
I think favorite part is like I said, just the way it started with the all the ecology, which again, like although combat was cool too, but I just expect to get a lot more of that later. Like right now, I'm just looking for the general feel and direction of the game. Because combat, like none of the weapons I play are were there, and so I'm cool, right? But seeing the way that they're approaching the overall direction and themes of the game, I thought were great. Um, in terms of what makes me the most concerned, I don't know if concerned is the word, but the thing that seems the most exciting on the surface, but I don't know how I feel about it in practice, is the two weapons thing. Even though I really want it, I'm thinking from a build perspective, how are they going to do it, right? Because if are you like let's say you bring two of the same weapon type. I mean, yeah, that works for your build, but there might not be much of a use case for bringing two of the same type of weapon, right? Like, um, and if you're using two different kinds of weapons, your builds might be drastically different, right? Unless you're just going for pure, just raw, and that's all you're doing, or whatever. Then yeah, then I could see there being a lot of things to where you're being very suboptimal with one. But granted, we don't know a lot. Like they could, who knows what they could do? Scroll swapping on your builds. They could do make items like make your armor have more slots for more things or more dual skills. Like who knows what they'll do, right? But just on the surface, that's my biggest question about the two weapons thing.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Dell?
For me, it's like the thing I was like the most happy about was that even though it has like more of a cinematic kind of vibe to it, like it still had kind of the iconic like animation look to it. Like I was like, True Charge Strike, okay, let's go. Like it's not like the every great sword attack you're gonna do now is just some like timed swing where you're just spinning in circles or something. Like they didn't recreate like the feel of the way you use the weapons from what it looks like anyway. And then also the I dig stuff like the monster specific interactions, like because when I first saw the bite thing I was like, okay, something, I want something like that with Diabolos. Like just there has to be some kind of like, because I was thinking like uh like you block that charge like that, but with a great sword like you'd like push Diabolos out of the way or something, so like he'll do when he does his double charge, you're like clang, and then he comes back and you're like clang the other way. And I was like, I would totally dig that kind of stuff, especially if it's like timed and like skill based. And the thing I'm worried the most about is probably, I love how the mount looks, and I was fine with the Palamutes, but I just don't want it to be like use your mount every 5 seconds. If it's like that, I'll kind of like stay away from the mounts. But I know that they're definitely integrated into so much stuff because that's how you change your weapon, and that's like there's a lot of travel on it. So if it kind of like is used more as like a get out of jail free card in some circumstances, that's cool because they do show that they show like the recovery and all. I
Yep.
just don't want it to be like you're spending 80% of the fight on your mount if you don't want to, like, not don't make it so good or so required that you have to do it.
I don't see
Because
that happening.
yeah, I just feel like some maybe like bow guns will be like like
They
pew
might.
pew 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 pew.
They might.
Because as much as I like how God Eater looks, I do not like how God Eater plays. So I don't want to play God Eater. If I did,
Yeah.
I would play God Eater.
I will say it's cool if you look at the details they show, like whenever the heavy bowgun was on the sacred, I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but wherever the mount is, they did show like how much slower it moved, right? So
Hmm.
I don't think it's gonna feel like the Palamute. I don't think it's gonna feel like the Palamute where you're just like zipping around super fast. Like I think that when you're on it and you're trying to fight, especially like it's probably gonna feel a lot slower.
Or it could be like related to the weapon type that you're using too, like because if you're supposed to be able to use all the weapons on the mount, like obviously, like if you're carrying a hammer on that thing, it's gonna be like, "Ugh."
Yeah. But I think even just the run speed of the animal slowed down. So I imagine the running speeds always,
Yeah.
I would assume, will always be slower in general.
Or just like when you're in combat, like if you're trying to
Right,
like
exactly.
traverse long distances or something, it
Right. Yeah, I
speeds
mean,
up a
like
bit.
if you're trying to like use the weapon on the mount, I imagine the mount will slow down versus
Yeah.
if you're just trying to purely run, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I saw the Palamute, I mean not the Palamute, but the secret when I saw it switching weapons, I I mean initially I was like, this is awesome, but then the more I thought about it, the more I started thinking the way that you guys were thinking is like, how's that gonna work? Is it gonna like switch my build as I'm switching the weapon? Like, are they gonna be able to
Hmm.
program it that well to where something like that happens, or even what you said, some sort of like dual skill thing? Because that would be super weird. Like, I just started thinking about. I'm like, man, like there are specific builds for gun, like spread and normal and pierce, so like there are things that you would add to those builds that you would never ever have on a melee build. So I'm that's probably my biggest concern as well. Like when I look at how that well, I'm wondering how that's going to work. Like
Right.
my favorite thing that I saw honestly was just the continuation of, like I said, like counterattacks and being able to continue in your attacks, because like I had my issues with Rise, but I definitely liked that I could keep the attack going. And with something like Greatsword, it's one of those things where in World, I loved it because of the realism, and it felt very grounded, and you really had to commit to those attacks. But there were times where I did get tired of just like rolling or having to tackle to continue into another attack if that's how I wanted to keep going. So I like that there's like follow through attacks. That's probably my favorite thing, like, that I saw. Like, as far as, like, characters and stuff like that, we know a little bit about the characters, but we don't know what the story really is at this point.
Yeah.
So there's nothing for me personally to be excited about yet. But then obviously, there's, like, rumors of, like, Monster Hunter 4 stuff, and story
Yeah.
related things like that. So now I'm trying to brush up on my Monster Hunter 4 because I didn't play Monster Hunter 4. And if
Mhm.
those characters are actually going to be a part of this game, then that could be exciting. And I bet that everyone else that's played 4 would be over the moon because it's supposed to be like the most popular Monster Hunter.
Really, I didn't even know that. It was really popular. I didn't know it was the most popular one. Really.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow. I mean,
like
it makes sense because it's literally like a kind of like a love letter to the first three games and some change.
like
So
every
that makes
every
sense.
streamer I listen to like sings its praises. Like
Mhm.
everyone's always like, if you're gonna play any of them, play 4 Ultimate
Yeah.
on 3DS, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I don't have a 3DS.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I never did.
I think with that said, it's interesting to think about the position that Capcom's putting themselves in with that, right? So if what you're saying is true, where a large part of the OG fan base loves Monster Hunter 4, but the most popular Monster Hunter of all time is World, right? And so many people are coming into this game are coming from World. I will be interested to see how and maybe Dale, you can speak to this from an OG perspective, how people who just are diehard, we love Monster Hunter 4, and this is the sequel we're getting, quote unquote, are going to adapt or going to feel about the things that they probably that us, fifth gen people are used to, right? Like, because I'm sure the game's gonna feel more like World in a lot of ways, right? So I don't know. I think that's an interesting tension to have when you're kind of revisiting a classic, but with the new with the newer approach. I don't know, Dale. What are your thoughts around that kind of conflict?
I mean, really, really kind of world. I think the biggest thing with world in general is it really set it kind of. I want to call it like the Resident Evil 4 the series, where it's like this is what the game is now. And I mean, like we've gone through that with a lot of different franchises. And like I was one of those people who's like, oh yeah, I love Resident Evil 1 through 3, but and Code Veronica, but I also love Resident Evil 4, and they're completely different. And then you had and to give another example, Resident Evil 7 went back to kind of the roots of that because even though it was first person, it still felt more like a traditional Resident Evil game. You weren't, an action hero, or you weren't two player and that kind of stuff. So Capcom's shown that they can kind of like do that stuff and pay like decent enough homage to the older games while still making a new experience.
Okay.
But I do think the biggest thing is how they pull off some of the things that are seeming kind of like new for the series entirely, like the dual weapons and stuff. Because like it feels like with dual weapons, they're just like watching. Because I think there's another. I don't remember if the other one. I forget the name of the game. The one, the Western Hunter game. But there's been a couple where you can switch weapons and stuff. So
You switching Wild Hearts or no? I couldn't remember.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember in Wild Hearts if you could switch weapons.
So here's a question. So since it's confirmed that we're getting dual weapons and a mount, do you think that we're gonna have camps during fights?
Hmm. I feel like yes, but more so because there'll be like fast travel points more so than, especially because like they've been really coy about if this game's going to be kind of pseudo open world or not. And if like it is super pseudo open world or even real open world, which I mean a lot of games did that recently, I can believe it. But there's like camps are kind of too traditional because like it sucks to cook outside all the time. It's fun occasionally, but you don't want to do it like 99% of the time. And then like you need a place to go back and like recover health and stuff like that. And if you do want to change your build, that's kind of where they made it. So yeah, it's tricky because there's so many questions surrounding the weapon swapping. It's like, am I just going to get two sets of gear, two sets of this, or are they just going to homogenize all like the skills so they apply to both in certain contexts? Because that would be the very much modern gaming trend of going, oh, okay, you just get like attack up and that applies to everything. There's like it does this for this, but if you're shooting, it does this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That would be interesting.
if they do that, it would be interesting to think about how that would impact the long term like loop of the game, right?
Mhm.
Like the more generalized it is, they have to take different approaches to the RNG to
Yeah.
make it to where you will continue to play.
Mhm.
Versus right now, like you can play as long as you want to really like get that perfect build that's super optimized for that one weapon. So if they make it more general, then that becomes less of a thing.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see what they do. I was also thinking about, how you get a lot of gyms and so I didn't play again, for those who were in the audience, like I personally, I'm a fifth gener. I didn't play anything beyond World or Rise. So I don't, but I heard there was one of the older games they had like the gunner versus the,
Mhm.
like and so like, I wonder if there's a thing to where, you know, maybe to your point, gyms will have kind of dual purpose based on the type of weapon you have. Maybe it'll on this thing it'll be power prolonger, but on this thing it'll be something completely different. And I mean, I can see that spreading out the RNG quite a bit now because now you're playing forever to try to get the exact right dual purpose.
Yeah.
I hope to God they never go back to the gunner armor melee armor. I hope they never do that again
I don't know
because
much about it, so I can't speak to
because
it.
that's murder, and even especially when you're trying to do all the weapons, like
Yeah,
then you're really just
it definitely was like the long grind kind of thing. Uh, I didn't mind. The only thing I miss about it is like really like just the aesthetic stuff, like because the gunner armor, like it was cool having like 4 sets of every armor, pretty much. I mean, if it was used that way,
mhm.
but yeah, no, I'm really curious about that because that'll pretty much make or break like the builds in this. And because and also too, I think with the naturalistic kind of approach they're coming with the game, I don't think it's gonna be like crazy broken builds at first. Like I don't think you're gonna be like, healing half your life from a true charge slash or like,
Yeah,
like being able to stay away and like having like level 3 dodge super early on and can just like avoid everything.
right. It's funny when you say that. It makes me think about something else too. Is like you said, this game, especially coming off of Sunbreak, is much more grounded, kind of back to way the world felt. I know one of the biggest complaints that people had about Sunbreak was that the hunter was too strong. And if you look at this trailer so far, just again, it's just a trailer, but the movement seems much slower, much more deliberate outside of like the super cool attacks. But overall, it seems pretty, slow and heavy, which is a kind of a good thing for Monster Hunter. Um, do we think that they will approach, yeah, just kind of rebalancing the hunter versus the monster differently in this game, given the feedback that they got?
Well, I think personally that like if you look at the handhelds at this point, they're much different. They're made by like a different team, so they have like a more like arcadey kind of feel versus like the world team. And so I think that we're gonna get this back and forth. Probably like even the next game that comes out on Switch or whatever the next handheld console is gonna be. I
Mhm.
feel like it's gonna stay that way because literally, if you play Generations Ultimate, it's just like Rise, except it's a little different because obviously it's an older game. But it seems like they keep following like the same kind of patterns with like the really like fast pace, just hunt down the monster. It's not like literally about the preparation and the groundedness and the realism of everything. And so like I think this is going to be just like World, except it's going to be a little bit more fast paced because obviously there are good things that that both teams kind of bounce off each other and take from each other, like the continuation of the attacks. I think that that's something that they're like, oh, we like that. We're gonna use that in this game, just make it a little bit more grounded. See, I I'm really looking forward to the next trailer because I want to see if they have a gun lance in that trailer because whatever that gun lance does is going to tell you a lot about what we're
Mhm.
going to be able to do in this game. If you can do the blast dash or whatever that thing is that we could do in Rise, that should tell you, you know, how far they're willing to go in this game. If they don't do that, then it's going to be a very grounded game
Mhm.
to me personally. So, oh yeah, one
Yeah.
more thing before you dive in. I
Mhm.
don't think this is going to be an open world game based off of
Mhm.
the things that I read on the website when it said that this is going to be the first area, like this initial area of like the rocky prairie forest stuff. That means that there's going to be other areas. And so are they going to connect those things in updates, or is it going to be like loading, like where you would go from to the forest to the desert, from the desert to the Coral Highlands? I wonder if that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be bigger areas. So
Yeah, I do think that's something that's making me think that is the areas do look a lot bigger. Like I don't know if it's just the way that they're framing everything with the cameras, but
Mhm.
the areas do look huge. Um so the only thing that would make me think that would be like I don't think it would be like open world like say like Breath of the Wild, but I do think that the wild kind of is kind of a little bit of like a nod towards it. It's yeah, like there were so many games that just came out all in a big bunch that were suddenly open world,
Mhm.
and and they can't ignore how like popular that kind of thing is.
Yeah.
And they've done it for years. Like it's like Monster Hunter is stuck to areas. Like you want to leave an area. You can avoid a monster, but I think this game, like, you worry about having too much like wasted space in those kinds of games, and in
Mhm.
Monster Hunter, like wasted space is not a good thing. Like you don't want to, like, even those hunts where like it was you're going to area 6 to kill Pookie or something, like, and then you kill him in the area in 10 minutes, and you just the whole rest of the map might as well not even be there, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see there like reasons for it and reasons against it, but it's really like, until I honestly feel like that's kind of like one of the things they're going to talk about the next
Mhm.
trailer. It's just like show maybe an area or two, and then kind of define, are you just able to go from zone like the first map to the second map, and how free flow is it for the quest system?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I want Longsword to get nerfed hard. I don't need that thing. I don't need that thing swinging out the gate being the strongest weapon, man. I can't deal with it again, bro.
They did that. They do that for like the speedrunners, because like the speedrunners always love longsword because it's
Mhm.
always been like the speedrun weapon.
Mhm.
I
It's
mean,
like it's like until you make crazy builds, then it's great sword. But at the start, it's like longsword's so freaking good.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, One thing that I was curious about, like, yeah, I'm sure, like, when we see the next trailer, I'll probably go more into it, like the focus mode stuff. Maybe it's not worth talking about that yet since we don't know enough about it, but I'd be curious to get into that. If not now.
well, well, it talks about it on the website. So the focus mode, essentially, what it is like it puts you in a state where you have a little bit different attacks. You know, like the great sword when he does that slice across his body and rips it. If
Mhm.
you look at other pictures of the monsters, they have the wire bugs, but they're red and they're all across the body of the monster. And what I think
Oh,
it's doing is
camouflage, yeah.
yeah, it's showing where the weak points of the monster are at that point. So I think that there's not gonna be I feel like there's gonna be tenderizing, but it's just not gonna be with the clutch claw. Like clutch claw won't be in this game, but there will be tenderizing. And I feel like what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to hit those parts over and over again to break like those parts, and then once those so either the parts are broken or once it's open for you to hit those weak spots, then your weakness exploit starts to come into play. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's
Yeah.
happening.
You know
And
what they
that
basically did then? They basically just took Anomaly and made it more like in line with the rest of the theme of the game.
mhm.
But
I feel
it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
anomaly stuff, really, like where hey,
It was the same way they test like future mechanics for the next game and the previous game and fighting games. It's like
mhm,
it's Nerd Gigante, the same thing. Like,
yep,
oh look, his weak spots move.
yep,
mhm,
guiding lands
Hmm.
and an anomaly quest, just like what you said. Those are like the two
mhm,
things that they were testing out to see if both of those would work, and both of them did work.
right.
And yeah, oh man,
Mhm.
I hated anomaly quests so much.
Yeah, but I mean, but just the fact that like there's a part in the monster that you need to focus on. We make it super clear about putting all those red things there, and that's what everybody needs to hurry up and do their damage to. I can imagine the whole wound thing being similar to that, you
Well,
know.
see, because well, I think the wounds more, or it's like more like tenderizing, and
Mhm.
then when you kind of break the point or whatever, even if it's not an actual like break where you get a reward, then you get like those cool like extra animations and stuff triggered depending on like what you hit it with, right?
Mhm.
That's what I'm thinking it is, because like the big slash across, it looks like he had the weakness points, and then he hit them, and then they all disappeared. I don't know if it was just for like the animation or what, or if it was like, ah, you did the thing, and then he'll get toppled or something afterwards, or.
Maybe it's a good way to show that you actually did break the part. 'Cause sometimes it's hard to tell if you've broken like the arm or the
Mhm.
leg, or like the only thing you usually we have broken because it's
Horns
very
and
apparent
tails.
is the horn.
Yeah,
You
and the
know,
tail.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
the tail. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I definitely think that I am really curious as to what focus mode is gonna like, what that fully looks like.
Mhm.
On a side note, though, it took me a million times watching this video. Did you notice the third monster?
I heard someone like post up like a screenshot about it, but I didn't see it. Like the one where you can see like his claw or something.
Well, it's like a snake kind of creature, and it's wrapping itself around the thing. So like, remember when they're all like getting like pulled down
Well,
into the
sandstorm
whirlpool?
thing?
You can
Yeah.
see it spinning, and
Oh,
then the
oh,
next shot is the thing trying to attack the hunter, but the thing is wrapped around him, and
Oh,
wow.
so
I
no.
saw a
so
screenshot that was like the monster they've shown the most so far. I forgot his name, but like he's got like a claw on him. They were like, "Look, there's the claw," and I was like, "I don't know what that is," but
No,
something's getting attacked. Yeah, something's getting
I
attacked by
didn't
something.
see that. No. Do we want to talk about the monsters at all?
well, so one thing I'm hearing a lot is people don't I don't this is weird to me, man. This is probably something you know more about, Dell, but I love the bear monster. Like
I think it's cool.
he looks amazing to me and like
Yeah.
ferocious. And I'm hearing people that are like, he doesn't look cute enough. He doesn't look Monster Hunter World enough, or like Monster Hunter enough. I'm like,
Yeah,
what? What does that even mean?
I think it looks great.
yeah.
I need to talk to someone
No,
old school. I don't know what that
I don't
means.
know because I think it looks cool. Like I've always like they've probably not introduced a monster that I've been like, I hate the design of it. Maybe like fighting it, I've been like, oh, that's annoying, but like
Mhm.
never aesthetically. They always are interesting and new. I want to see his attacks though. I want to see more attacks. And I have
Yeah.
a feeling like because he's like a big monster, but he's like related to the small monsters. There's definitely going to be some like herd type stuff. Like
Yeah.
probably like mid game or late game, you're going to end up fighting like three of them at the time or something.
Yeah. That's gonna
Because
be.
we also have not like usually one of the first things they show is like one of the small bird wyverns. Like,
Yeah.
and we've not no we saw an amphibian and a basically a bear.
Fanged beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting because I think in looking at, to your point, late, like the whole it's not cute enough. And then to your point, Dell, like I think that like when I look at the aesthetics of world, like I love the fact that the monsters feel more grounded. Like I didn't like most of the monsters that came out in Rise, to be honest with you. Like I think maybe the Agnosome I thought was kind of cool.
Gosarog.
I, I didn't even care for Gosarog all that much.
Well, see,
Aesthetically. Like
I'm fine.
they looked way more cartoonish to me, which I mean, again, I like that stuff, but World was not that, and that's what I got drawn to. So to me, I actually like this direction.
Yeah. And I mean, see, the thing is, there's a balancing act because, like, you can have like your Mizusunes and stuff like that that look all like super pretty and
Sure.
cool, and then still have your Gosarongs
Yeah.
and like it's really I mean like some I just can't it's just one monster like there's gonna be like 30 of them or something
Yeah.
like it's okay if you don't like the aesthetics of one of them.
Yeah. Which I hope that we get a lot of variety in terms of the skeletons that they first come out with,
Hmm.
Like obviously
Do
they've
some
got
new types maybe instead of just
yeah,
like like oh look it's Tigrex with something else like
yeah, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, because people were saying that Deshaguma looks like a Souls like monster, and I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, man. I mean, like, oh, because he's like, I guess he's super ugly to you. He actually looks like halfway like a bear, halfway like a lion,
Yeah, I
because
like
because like, and I feel like the ones behind him are like the females,
yeah.
almost like yeah. And
yeah,
then I'm so surprised about the Chotacabra one. Like I was wanting Tetsukabra, but now we're gonna get Chotacabra. So I
I think
wonder if it's
Chupacabra cool.
I wonder if it's a variant. But now this one looks very Monster Hunter. If that's what they're talking about, this one looks very like Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
think it looks cool. I
sticking
like
stuff on its body. That's yeah.
yeah,
which is like what was that monster in Rise? The monkey one.
Garangold.
Didn't he do
Yeah.
that?
Garangold, he would put his fist in the ground or something, pull rocks up on his fist. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't like his design either, but yeah, I like this one. I like Chupacabra. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with the outlandish designs sometimes. It's just I just think you can do a mix. Also too, like if you just take some of the more unrealistic ones and kind of change like textures and make them a little bit more like
yeah,
in line with what you would see in like real monsters, it doesn't look so bad. It's the ones where like imagine like Jinoga in the first game he was in versus Jinoga in 3 versus Jinoga in World. It's like no, he looks way more of a he looks the same, but he's got like way
yeah,
more
yeah.
animalisticness to him. So
And I think when you say it, makes me realize, like, of course, the designs, they're going to lean into the more detailed, in some cases, more ugly designs because they have the processing power to do it. Right? Like
Mm.
if you look at this is the most processing power they've ever had, and if you look at Rise, they obviously had to downgrade a lot of things graphically. So yeah, they lean more into that cartoony aesthetic because it kind of hides it, right?
Well, it not just hides it, but you also have to have some of that there because the visual cues at such a lower resolution
Yeah,
are kind of a thing.
right.
Like you think it's hard to see broken parts now. Imagine like playing on PSP when you're like, I don't even know if I broke that. It doesn't look any different. And then you're like, oh, there's like a scratch mark on like one of the parts. But yeah, that's also why Rise has those giant anime flashes when you hit things instead of
Right,
blood. Well, it's got a little blood, but you know what I mean.
right, right.
Ooh, there was no blood in the trailer. Do you think that we're gonna have an option for blood?
I hope so.
Was
I
there
feel
blood?
like
Was there blood in World?
yeah, yeah. I
It
mean,
was.
it's not like crazy blood. It's not like
It's
Monster
light.
Hunter 2. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's very light. Like
yeah.
the
Toned
more
it down.
animated ones were much heavier. Like the
Mhm.
mobile ones, I mean, not the mobile ones, but the handheld ones, like
Yeah.
looked more gory. But because it's like animated, it doesn't look
yeah.
gory. So what do you think about our handler, Alma?
I like her better than the other one already.
Well, I like that she has a name. That
That's
that
true.
that's a good start. I
Yeah,
mean, the other one just was the handler,
right.
and she was
I like.
goofy.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be great.
Is
I'm
she?
okay with it.
Is she? Yeah, yeah. And I was about to ask that. Is she waifu material?
Nah, nah.
Yeah,
She will be for the
I think she's
bookworm
cuter than the
people.
other one was.
She's like that. She's gonna be another
Yeah,
bookworm.
she's, she's definitely cuter than the handler in World was. The world.
Anyone's cuter than the
And now, see,
Alexa world.
I disagree. I like both. I like every handler there's been. I've been like, yeah,
No,
they're fine.
no.
They definitely went with more of a kind of like a. The one thing I will say, anything about character designs in general, in this is they're going for more one, and and I say this in the best way possible. They're definitely trying to spread out the way characters look. Like they have more distinguished facial
Yeah.
features and stuff
Yeah,
like that, which is cool. And then also like they're leaning into like the personality differences too. It's not
yeah.
it's like all the ace hunters are always like staunch and serious, and then like yeah, maybe she'll be a bookworm, but maybe there'll be something else that's not you know being obsessed with monsters as the quirk that she has.
I think that's gonna be like the opposite of the Tekken problem with the Tekken female characters, where the Tekken female characters all looks very very similar. I mean, I can tell the difference. They look very very similar. They're either crying or they're kind of tough, and it's kind of those are the two personalities they get to have. And so I think they're going kind of the opposite direction so far, at least with what we've seen.
So what do you think about the graphics so far then? Like the cutscenes of like the characters. Like, do you think that they look better than the world characters did?
Mm, yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely think so.
I think it's just the FPS of the trailers. The FPS is like seems a lot slower or like more reduced, so it feels choppier. But I imagine that won't be the case when the game comes out.
I mean, all the textures and everything, like the character models themselves, are definitely higher resolution than the world.
Yeah, but like when I look at them, like for instance, when you're looking at Gemma and Alma when they're introducing themselves, like they don't look like the admiral or the old lady, like where you can see their veins and like you can see their pores and those kind of things like that. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm concerned about. Is it almost looks like a mix of World and Sunbreak? It's
Well,
like,
no, that's yeah.
I do think that's true. There's going to be some like aesthetic choices where they're like trying to balance the difference between them, especially if this is supposed to be related to four, because four was anime as hell. So
mm,
like the
I think
characters
it
in
really
that look super anime.
I think a lot of it comes down to just kind of the Japanese approach to attractiveness. Like a lot of times, if you look at like the way they approach character design and character models for like pretty characters, they usually go for less detailed, right? Like especially like the pores are typically not going to be exaggerated. You're not going to see folds in the skin, like because those things are going to seem more youthful and by extension more attractive. So I'm not surprised, but I think it takes a lot of skill to be able to, not that they don't have skill, but you know what I'm saying? You have to be very intentional to make a character have that level of realism, but
Hmm.
also not feel like they're just, and still try to make them attractive. Like that's a balance that I don't know if everybody can do.
Well, that just leads into a bunch of stuff about like not just different views of what's pretty and what's cool and not and whatnot, but how you approach that. It's very much uh, a lot of Western devs, the aesthetics are kind of like we're doing it for this reason, not because the fans want it, but just because we think it should be this way because
Mhm.
it fits our what we're wanting to do with the game better. Whereas
Yeah,
Japan, it's like, no, we're gonna put this character in just because we know characters are gonna love it. Like
mhm.
There's no way Gemma's design isn't. People will love this. Like, there's fan art of her all over the place already, and like you've seen her for like 30 seconds.
And you knew you were going to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was like immediately, it was like, nope, click, click, click.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, yeah.
Man, I was hoping that she was the handler, but of course she's gonna be the blacksmith. So I was like, man, I gotta look at Bookworm the whole game. Okay.
I want to know, like, because they're more expressive with her personality, but I want to know that, like, Alma's personality, because usually, like, they're too, like, they're just nerds. Like
Yeah,
they go otaku with it on purpose because it's like, oh, you love monsters, you're obsessed with them, or you're obsessed with food or something like that. It's never,
right.
like, you know. And I will tell you the one NPC I don't like that kid. I don't like him.
You don't know anything about him yet.
I don't like him. He looks like he's a little pissy brat or something, and you're gonna have to, like, drag him along and be
His
like,
parents are
"Hey,
dead.
stop complaining about everything."
All right. So
He doesn't look at his expression through the whole trailer. It's like he's like, hunters. I'm so miserable being here.
His
Let me
dad is
go.
his mommy and daddy is dead.
But
He
yeah,
went, he
probably.
went to
Did they
that
explain
school.
anything about him as far as character development? Like, does he have
nothing.
a reason to look like?
No, he
Nothing.
just
What?
It literally says on the website, a mysterious young boy that accompanies you on your journey.
Okay.
That's
And then the
all we
other thing
know.
is the other thing too I noticed is the default hunter like characters they used like kind of looked like they were related to him. So I don't know if that was an intentional choice or if, like, it'll be one of those things where it's like, "Oh, you changed the hunter, so we're going to change the character to
I
match
doubt
like
it.
you're related or
That
something."
would be
Because
weird.
they've done that there's been things like that in other games where it's like you have an
Really?
accompaniment character and, like, say your character has dark skin, they have dark skin. Vice
Interesting.
versa, because they do. Because I mean, if you see the cutscene where you're
Yeah.
standing there talking to the admiral, like, I'm like, wow, they look really like they're related. Like, he looks like he's like your little brother or something.
Yeah.
So quick question. What do you guys think about the option? Well, not option. The Palicos talking and our character talking now.
So far, I'm not excited about it
Which one?
either.
You don't like
So
the Palicos talking?
no, because I anticipate they're just gonna get on my nerves. Like you fight Nergigante, hey, it looks like those spikes can be broken. And then
Yeah,
every fight, it's like it's like okay, all right, I get it. Like I'm
Why
running,
why are you not attacking?
running
yeah.
50 times, man. Like leave me
Get
alone.
up. Please get up.
Yeah, like I feel like they're gonna just it's gonna be so much repetition in the game like Monster Hunter where you are. I mean, you're running these hunter to the ground, right? Because you're trying to get a particular thing. With like, how much variation are they gonna have in the dialogue?
Hmm.
I suspect it's not gonna be that much. So you're gonna get tired of it pretty quick. So I'm not looking forward to that for the Palico, especially. For the hunter, if it only happens during the story and then like during some of the attack things like in Sunbreak, that'll be fine. That's not a big deal. But I'm really not looking forward to the Palico talking. That's gonna be annoying.
My biggest thing, and I'm also, like, apprehensive about it too. It's kind of like, I'm fine with the characters talking, even though I do hope that, like, there is just a Monster Hunter language. I have a feeling like there won't be, but I do hope that there would be, just because that's always been, like, one of my vibes with Monster Hunters. I love, like, the cultural, like, music that they always have, where it's always like, this is like how Monster Hunter feels. And the Monster Hunter languages have always been, even if it's just gibberish and, like,
Yeah,
it's just the Japanese and they just, like, move the syllables around or something. I don't care. Like, it just makes it feel otherworldly, which
yeah,
I
I like
like.
that too.
So, like, if they don't have it, I'll miss that. I'll deal with it, I guess, especially if I can just, like, if there'll be a Japanese language option, I'm sure. Um, but the Palico talking, I have a feeling that it's not all Palicos talk now. I just have a feeling like it's just that your Palico that can talk.
But isn't your Palico going to be with you all the time?
Yeah. I'm assuming, but also too, I'm wondering, does that mean that you also can't, like, do you just design them at first thing and then you have one for the entire game? Like is it like Cha Cha? From three, like you have a little dude who you just don't pick anything about and just changes armor.
I don't know. I just know I don't want every hunt this thing to be talking to me all the time and saying the same thing.
Well, I mean, the thing is too, you even got a dose of that in the other games, because during the cinematic, elements in like the big boss fights, where
Yeah,
it'd
they'd
be
be like,
like,
right,
yeah,
Yeah.
get behind the barrier.
hurry, get behind it. Yeah. I mean, I feel what you're saying, and I feel like I'll probably be okay with it. What I will not be okay with, and I really hope they do away with this, is I do not want to hear my hunter like wanting to slaughter these monsters, like talking trash, like
Yeah.
daddy needs a new pair of boots. I don't ever need to hear that again.
Oh God.
Like we were
Wait,
savages.
what was that from? What?
That's from Rise.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm
Dude.
sorry. I never played a moment of Rise in English.
It was pretty bad.
Wow.
Dude, they were savages, bro.
Yeah.
Like one time he was like the monster was dead, and he's like, "Oh, are you okay?" No, he's not okay. He dead. Like, why are you taunting this dead monster? Like,
Right.
I just hope they don't do that at all in this game, because I didn't like that, because like World was all about like becoming one and with nature and understanding it and exploring like how we work with nature and how nature worked with us,
Right.
like in the monsters and the ecosystem. Like I don't, and then we got into Rise and we're just like just
Devil
like
May crying around.
just massacring.
Yeah,
Man, just massacring them, man.
Same
Same like
monster. Yeah.
yeah.
And see, and the other thing too that I know, because in Rise, I don't want it to like affect like your character's like attack sounds too, because if I have a feeling like if they go our character's voice now, that means you can't change their voice, because there's going to be that huge disconnect with the character voices. If you pick your character voice and then there's no talk, there's the spoken dialogue doesn't match. If you like drop your character's voice to like and then in the cutscene he's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" It's like, I hope
my voice. That's true.
Yeah. Attack sounds, it falls into the same category as having a Palico, Navi in your ear all the time. Like, you want to be able to control that to some degree.
Right.
Also, one of my favorite things about Monster Hunter when I make my character is picking the voice I've always picked, because it's my favorite voice. It's been in every game. So
I'm just scared it's going to take me 3 hours to get through my character creation. Like
it might take a minute.
It takes me a minute. And the thing is, I want to live stream my first episode, and I feel like every time I try to make a character when I'm streaming, I almost end up having to stop because
indecisiveness.
It takes too long.
Maybe you just record that and then you stream everything else.
Yeah, record the character creation process and break it up into chunks, and like, here, if you want to watch this, here's 30 minutes of me being indecisive.
Yeah.
I'm super indecisive.
Sorry, I go back and forth.
Nope. I've picked the same like 10 options every game, even though it's the most it's taken me is figuring out which one it got switched to. Like, oh, my hairstyle's like 12 now instead of 8, or my voice is 13 now instead of 3.
I did take a Photoshop of my settings for World. I really did, because I want to get it as close to this character as possible.
Yeah,
as close. Yeah. So final thoughts. What are you guys wanting to see from Summerfest? And that's literally, I think, in 4 days.
Wow, it's fast.
What do you want to see from Monster Hunter? Like the trailer that they're going to release.
I really want them to go more detail about focus mode, wounds, and the dual weapon thing. Like more detail about that. And selfishly, of course, I want to see my CB in there. I want to see a good SAD at least one good time. But it's not. I know it's going to be there. It's not a big deal. But those first few things are the things I really want to see for sure.
What do you want them not to take away from your weapon?
I feel like which one was it? The switch skill where you could charge all your files with a guard point. That was almost too good. I kind of don't want that back, but I do want Axe Hopper to come back.
That was
Axe,
fun. Axe
Axe
Hopper
Hopper
was
was a
fun.
lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, especially because like it allowed you so much more mobility to where you can actually aim your SED a little different. Like it let me find new places to use it. So um
And you could hit air monsters with it.
yeah, like so yeah, I really want that to come back. I don't want to lose that if I can help it. That's probably the main thing, to be honest with you.
How about you, Del?
For me, it's yeah, I completely agree about the just give us the rundown on the mechanics, even if there's going to be like slight differences, just go through it because that's honestly like the biggest thing everyone has on their mind. Like the monsters will be there, the story will be there. Like it might be more story focused, it might be less story focused. Yeah, like tell us how the mechanics work and go into detail as much detail as possible. Like that's like you're dealing with people who are like going to find motion values on some stupid swing that they use like once every like 12 hunts just so they know, oh, is this wasteful to use or not? So yeah, we need to know how things are going to work. And like there are YouTube channels that are just founded on making like here's an optimal way to play this game, here's an optimal way to play this build, and this is the attacks you use. So like the more we get that out, the better. So people can start thinking and being like, do I want to switch weapons or this and that and the other? And then it'll be the same thing with explaining how weapon switching works. Like, what are we gonna do? What can we think about now? As far as like missing stuff, honestly, like every time every time I play a new game and they give Greatsword more stuff, I'm just like, I just have way more stuff than I need. So I don't care if they take away everything that it's got for the most part and give it something new, because the stuff they've already shown is already like, I'm just like, oh, okay, these are great. Like if these were just the new mechanics, like whatever focus mode does, I'm sure is going to be, and it's because great swords, they're golden child. It's the mishma of the game. They always go, we're going to give you special treatment and give you something good. So I know the new stuff
Well,
they showed is
something
probably
has to
only
balance
part of
out
it.
longsword.
Does this
Well,
does this audience know what the mission of the game means? I don't know.
probably not. I mean, like they're the main character. Like it's the cover weapon most of the time. It always, because it's the first weapon that, like, it's the iconic weapon. So they always make sure it has something a little bit of what everything else gets that's special, even if it still is going to hit you with a true charge strike at the end of the day.
I just want to see. So the things that I want to see is I want to see them explain more about the gun situation, or not the switching the weapons. Like I want to see more of that, and I also want to see what the um what is it called when they the showcases for the weapons. I want to see the showcases.
Mhm.
I want to see what you can do and what you can't do with weapons, because I really love the groundedness of World. I love that it felt like a slower game. I don't honestly. I hated that we could just wire bug out of like falls, like wire fall out of things. Like you get hit, I could wire fall out of that immediately. I'm not in any danger. I did not like that. I never felt in danger, in Rise. I want to feel like I'm in danger again, like I'm really earning my win, like I'm having to really fight. And so like honestly, I probably won't even be using the mount to like get out of trouble a lot. Or I mean, I will
You don't
probably,
need
but
it.
I will. Then that's the thing is I will, but I don't want to
Yeah,
necessarily. So I hope they don't make it broken. Like
it
I
doesn't
don't
look like that. It
like I
doesn't.
really I because Wirefall was broken. It was just super broken.
I don't think it's gonna be like Wirefall. If you look at the trailer, he whistled before he even got hit. So
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's
I
not
I
gonna.
I'm just, yeah. I'm just worried that mounted combat would be too much of a focus. I'm completely fine with it being like, oh yeah, you get occasional get out of jail free card or something, or like maybe if like you do it at the wrong time, like you can't do it again. It's got like a cooldown because like your sacred gets hit or whatever, something like that. But because I've not even think have we seen somebody getting knocked off a mount at all? Like there hasn't even shown that kind of stuff. So like, what happens if you get rocked while you're running around with a gun on a mount?
Your sacred fainted,
Secret.
and now
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
run back to you. It gets carded and has to run all the way back to you. Like,
Right. Yeah.
That would
You
be
can't
interesting.
summon it for a while.
that could be interesting, actually. If
That
you
would
get
be interesting. The last thing as far as like things I don't want them to take out, like I think those are counters because when you see the greatsword collide with those attacks, there's like a spark. So
Yeah.
I really hope that greatsword has like counters, because that changed everything for me. Like that having counters made me so happy, because like I hated that basically the only weapon that had counter was like lance and longsword.
Longsword.
You know what I'm saying? Like those are
Everyone's
the only
favorite.
ones that have counters. So I
Yeah.
love that they gave each weapon a counter in Rise, and I hope that they keep that trend going, because I think that counters can work for any kind of weapon. You know, maybe it's not as broken as longsword, because longsword is literally a counter weapon, but I hope that each weapon has counters. So
And to balance it out, all they really need to do is make sure like the stronger monsters have something that you can't just parry.
right.
Like just have a beam attack or have some kind of attack that's like an uppercut or something where it comes from the ground, so you can't reverse it or you can't parry it.
Mm-hmm.
It's guardable, but not that. And if we're talking about things that I hope are missing, I know they've been putting it in every game, so it's probably a lost cause. But I'd much rather have counters and like techniques to avoid damage and stuff like that, and keep the fight flowing than it is to just like give you healing weapons and stuff. Like I hate healing weapons.
No, I loved my health regen.
I
I
hate
want
it.
my regen back, man. I
Nope.
missed it so
I hope
much.
that's where we'll always disagree on that. That's fine. I hope it goes down the toilet. They're like, no, man, you got so much because that's the thing. Like it's like I want to feel danger. I want to feel like I'm in danger too. But like
I
if my
felt in
weapons,
danger using my ZSD against Fatalis. Even with health regen, I felt in danger as it was going slowly climbing down, and it brought me back up.
Against the most powerful final end boss of the entire game.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, especially when it's like got a mechanic that's gonna drain your life in some way or the other. I don't know. I just we'll see. I'm sure there'll be something, but hopefully it's like a reward instead of being like mandatory or required because like you can't avoid damage or like you have to like shoulder charge through things.
Mhm. I have a hot take about not what I don't want to come back at all, but something I want to come back later, like not
Okay.
on launch. I don't want, man. This might get your
Don't
podcast.
say clutch claw. You better
No,
not say clutch claw.
no, this might
Mounting to come back now.
no, this might get your podcast canceled, man. I don't know. Um, I want the big three to not come back at the beginning. Like I don't want Nargacuga, Zenogre, and Tigrex to come back immediately. I want to wait for those. I want when the game first comes out, let's get some new blood, experience some new things, wait a while, and then in a later expansion pack or something, then we get them. But I think we need a break from those. I think we need a break.
For me, it's that, but for the Elder Dragons, like I'm
I could
tired.
agree with that. I could agree with
Like
that.
like they're like I get that like that's part of like Monster Hunter's thing is like I can fight a Rathalos with my freaking eyes closed because they do the same thing even when they give them 2 or 3 new attacks. It's like they're still done at the same intervals at specific times, and if you counter this, you counter that.
I disagree with all of you completely.
I know you do. I know.
I want all of them, and because if they come out later, then basically we're waiting for monsters that we have already played. You know, when they start bringing out their expansions, I don't want old monsters for our expansions. I want new monsters for our
I
expansions.
want new monsters for a new game. That's what I'm saying. I think that for the new game, because if they come out now, then what's going to happen is for the expansions, we're just going to get Root Tigrex, and we're gonna get Savage. It's just gonna be okay. That's
the variants. Like, the variants. You're right. You're right.
And see, variants are okay if like they bring something completely new to the table. A lot of them are just like it's a different element now. So
yeah, it's like
the more strange they can make, or the more different in general, I'm fine with that. But yeah, and that's really my problem. Like, give me like a give me an Elder Dragon and then just change their element and let's see how that goes for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need Tigrex shooting projectiles like in
right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't really.
I'd be fine if Kushala waited a little bit. I'd be fine if.
What about Devil Joe?
Well, Devil Joe was missing out of Rise, so I'm fine if he comes back. I think Rajon could take a break.
Yeah, he's been a little heavy too.
Yeah, I think he could take a break.
I don't know.
Come back.
It really depends on it. It's all depends on just what their schedule looks like and how much people request them. Because I don't know I know they do them somewhere, but I've never seen them. But I'm sure they do polls in Japan about like what monsters do you want to come back.
Right.
and the biggest issue is always fashion hunters. So they want the monster back just so they can have the armor. So
Right.
Well,
And I'm not saying they shouldn't come back at all. I'm
yeah,
just
yeah,
saying
yeah.
I'd like for
We've only seen one initial monster that we know is going to come back immediately, and that's Rathalos. So,
mm,
of course,
other
yeah.
than that, the last two monsters have been new monsters. So, and then I think that third one, that whatever that sandworm monster is probably going to be a whole new monster as well.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like they know that we want new monsters, and I think they know that like if they bring out a bunch of old monsters, there's going to be a very quick fatigue of the game. Because
right.
honestly, I got fatigued of Rise like immediately, and then
Mhm.
Sunbreak came out, and I was done within like when
Here,
I never played. I did Anomaly for like 2 hours, and I was like, I'm done.
here's the part that's annoying about Rise is I kind of want them, and maybe this is another hot take, to invert what they treat as a lower level versus higher level monster. Like all the new monsters, for the most part, were lower level, right? Like
Yeah,
the
you never get
Troodon,
some crazy
Yeah,
new Elder Dragon that's like
yeah.
god tier or something.
You
Yeah.
just run through those, and then next I'm just fighting, Black Diablos and T-Rex and stuff for a while. Then I fight the Elder Dragon, and that's it. Like they don't invert it to where the new thing is the thing you're gonna fight for a long time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
you just speed run through those, and then you never see them again. You know.
And this is completely not unrelated to that whatsoever, but I forgot to mention when we were talking about the aesthetics was I really do I like how like if that's my biggest thing about Rise is I didn't like how a lot of the armor looked because it was just like a lot of it was more outlandish.
I agree.
and and I am completely, if you ask my wife, I hate like when they do when you have like a game that's especially like low fantasy like this and they include like stuff that doesn't fit just because it's there. Like, yeah, I know
Yeah.
Monster Hunter has had like, a Domino's pizza shield and crap like that,
Mhm.
but or maybe it was Pizza Hut, I forget. But and like Baki knuckles and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But those are weapons and they're joke weapons and stuff. But like the aesthetics of like the armor that they show the hunter in, like
yeah,
the fact that he's got like a sewn like baseball cap out of like some stuff, I'm like, that's tight. Like that looks cool as hell.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and there's so many like real world designs that they can modify to like include in armor to do cool stuff like that, where
Mhm.
it's not just like, like it is traditional fantasy armor or it is crazy
Yeah.
outlandish like design. Like
That
a good mix of the two is good.
that makes me think when you talk about that groundedness in the armor, it makes me think not only about the armor set but also the monster. How would you feel about Valstrax in a game this realistic?
Me?
Both of y'all, yeah.
Oh. I mean, like
The rocket ship dragon.
he's a little crazy, but I mean, I'm also the kind of person who wants them to put the Tonfall weapon in the main series instead of it just being there, but it looks super cartoony. So
Sure.
I want to see Velstrax in this quality level of CGI.
Hmm.
Like because the thing is I've only ever seen him in the more cartoonish looking
yeah,
Monster Hunters.
and I think there's a
Like
reason
if
for that. Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause it's
yeah,
like, how do you make him not look cartoonish? Like I
yeah,
don't know that you
because
can.
make him look like a mech, like
It's just gonna be so weird. I don't know.
like a stainless steel mech. Like he would look amazing. Isn't he from space? Like I don't know.
yeah.
Like
I think, yeah.
Graphically, he would look amazing, but thematically, he would not fit at all.
I don't know. That's where you also run to the hard part too, because like that's partly I feel like why some of the monsters that get picked traditionally is because like they still look like some of the traditional designs were in that more realistic base there too. Like
Mhm.
honestly, if you look at like monsters like Diabolos and Rajang and stuff, they almost look out of place in Rise because it's
Yeah,
like Rajang's not shooting a beam at you; he just looks like a big monkey,
yeah.
And Diabolos is triceratops,
The Triceratops dragon. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's true.
I would be perfectly fine with Velstrax coming. Like the only thing I think that they would need to change is maybe change his level of speed. Make his moves feel like punchy. Like he really is a mech, like throwing an arm. And I feel like they could do it. I'm not saying it like
I think it would look
I don't
weird.
think it's impossible. And it might look weird, but believe me, I once I had played Generations Ultimate, I was hoping that they would do like an expansion in World, and they never did. And I understand why they didn't. But I don't want to continue to see him in the.
Yeah,
I want to see him fully realize this the same way like Fatalis, like when they played like the tribute video and people saw Fatalis. That's why they did Fatalis, is because they saw how much people responded to that video, that they went ahead and made the expansion. And I feel like they could do that with Valstrex if they did it right.
I think he looks too weird. By the way, I like Valstrex. Don't get me wrong. I actually do like him. I just for a more grounded game, I just can't.
I'll be the devil's advocate there. I do not like Valstrex. I've never liked Valstrex. He's always been kind of annoying to me. I don't like something that can fly away for like 15 seconds and then you're just like,
Superman dive. You got a Superman dive.
If he did it in like 5 seconds, okay. But like he's gone way too long. You're like, oh man, come on, come back down. But I mean, at least it's not.
But could you imagine countering him?
Yeah, that would be tight though.
Like him coming down for his skydive, you just go,
you're like you block it and then no, that'd be
my god, dude.
Maybe that would be something too about this, is they pick monsters based on what kind of like response you can have to them with their special attacks.
Yeah,
because like rolling out of the way of a freaking Rathalos tail flip for like the 100th time, who cares? But like, you know, if you could do something where you like block it and like knock him down or something cool like that, instead of it just being
right.
Whoop, you rolled out of the way, charge. There you go.
I can promise you, if they ever do an expansion with Valstrex, you're gonna see the craziest YouTube reaction you've ever seen in your life, man. I promise you,
Valstrex is back.
There might be tears, man. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
And I know I keep bringing up random stuff about the aesthetics, but the other thing I will say that I hope is in, because of the way I see the first armors, I like make the armors at least moderately interchangeable to a certain degree. Like, I'm cool with the fact that they always want to make them like diverse looking, but like, you know, the more you can get away with making armors fit together for combo sets, the better, in my opinion.
The only thing I don't want them to do with weapons is I don't want to see bone weapons again with like throw on with like throw on other body parts of other monsters. You know, like I do not want to see that crap. Yeah, I don't want to see that crap.
That's my favorite thing about Monster Hunter, though. Like, that's my favorite thing about the world of Monster Hunter, is how like low fantasy that kind of. It's like this.
That's not what he means. He's not talking about. He's talking about the.
The like hot swappable thing. I know what you're talking about.
Basin part, yeah.
Yeah, because like the Wyvern blade, like that's a bone long. I mean, a great sword. That one looks amazing, but it's like it's from the very beginning. You know that's what it's gonna look like, right? It's designed to be that way. Just like the Diablos one is a bone. Like, you know it's gonna be that way. But then they got to a point where they started making the bone ones, and then you could slap on, you know, like a Kirin, you know, thing to make it and it just looked idiotic, and I just hated that more weapons started to look like that, like some of
you're talking about the modifications where you could like make teams. I get
it's not even a bone thing, it's a base and parts thing. That's what it is.
And I hated that. I want to see weapons that have, like, I like the designs of the Rise weapons, I just don't like that they looked cartoony. Like, I want them to look like have the fidelity that you had in World. And because like there's a lot of good designs, like, I mean, there just are.
Yeah, and I feel like with a lot of the weapons too, like, it's much easier for them to go out like crazy with them instead of making them just look more different and functional at the same time. Like, there's like, I think of how many swords there are, shapes, like sword shapes in the world, and like how much you could just make a bone saber could be like 1,000 different things. And then you know, but then you have the weapons that people want them to look the way they're going to look already. So bring them back for that reason, you know.
Right.
So who knows?
Final thoughts? Anything?
Excited about Summer Games Fest reveal.
Are we gonna come back and do another one right after it?
Sure.
Yep.
We should probably plan to do it like super fast so that we can be like up on it when it first happens or close to it.
Probably like
I'm down.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
All right. Hey, anything you guys got going on?
Just if you guys watch Tekken, watch the RDU Tekken streams because that's about the only tournament I regularly can go to, and everyone there is super chill and cool, and it's streamed. It has to be streamed every time for the Tekken World Tour. So
Yeah.
other than that,
How do you Tekken?
yeah. Other than that, I don't stream anything myself. Maybe in the future, but yeah.
I don't stream anything. I'm still trying to get through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That game is way too long. Oh my god.
Me too. I'm not
Way
done
too
yet.
long.
And the thing is, it's like I don't know what happened between like my 20s and my 30s, but all of a sudden I became a completionist and I like platinuming
Same.
everything, and now I'm doing everything in this game, and it's so long.
It's so long for no reason. Like it's absurd. Like it reminds you that this game is only supposed to be one game, but they're stretching out into three. Like it reminds you. Okay.
See, that's the thing is I have not played it potentially because I know I don't have enough time for it, and I have a feeling like they added stuff to it so people would be like, "Oh, the first one was too short," because that was the complaint they got about the first
I'd
one.
rather it be too
It
short.
was.
This is crazy though.
Well, okay, I didn't want it to be as short as the first one, so I am happy about what they've done. But what I'm
No.
saying is that I don't like. I mean, because like I could easily be one of those people, like I was in my 20s, that just wanted to go after the story and said bump the side quests. But like I said,
Man.
something has happened inside of me where now I feel like I
you
have
want to
this
be done with it. Yeah.
I have this urge to do the side quests, but at the same time, it is getting to a point now where I'm like, dang, it's been months
Yeah.
now. I've had to like put it down to play things like Stellar Blade and finish Stellar Blade, and I still haven't finished Dragon's Dogma 2. Like this
Yeah.
game is taking up my life. You
It's
know,
the problem is like it's Final Fantasy Rebirth is basically Final Fantasy VII, the mini game, the game. That's all it is. Like, it's literally the whole game is mini games.
Yeah, well, because I mean, you're at the point in the game when all the mini games in original Final Fantasy VII came into the storyline. Like you get the bike mini game, you get the snowboarding mini game.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
It's
like
too
all those
much.
happened right when you got to like the second disc. So.
That's true. It's
what
just-
chapter are you in?
10.
Oh, you're further than I am. I think I'm still in 7.
Oh, you got a long way to go, brother.
Like I just got out of Costa
Del Sol.
yeah, Costa del Sol. Like I just got out of there. Yeah. Oh
You still
man.
got more to do.
Oh,
I'm like,
and I'll say that too. That's the reason why I'm fine with Monster Hunter coming out next year or whatever. Because like there's 14 is having an expansion this year, so
yeah,
that's gonna be my backup game when I'm playing other than Tekken. Is that?
Yeah, between Tekken finishing this, and then I'm sure I'll play the Final Fantasy 16 expansion stuff. And
Yeah, I'm done with 16.
I like it, but yeah, I'll probably play that. I'll probably play I have not played the God of War stuff, so I have a few things to play. But depending on what happens with yeah, I'm ready for a new monster.
Hey, if you haven't played Stellar Blade, Ryan, you should play Stellar Blade.
I feel like
So good.
I have an opinion about that with him.
I platinumed that game. Like it's so good. Hey,
I feel like the whole game is just like booty cheeks the game. Like isn't that the game? Isn't that
no? It's really not. It's really not. Okay, so wait. Like let's end this video and then we can get into it. All right, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and if
they're gonna be mad or something,
they're like, "Where's the booty cheeks?" The game.
Hey, and I might record the later conversation and post it later. But for all intents and purposes, we're gonna end this video. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate both of you guys coming out, man, and just chopping it up with me, man. And thanks for watching. Until next time, peace out.
Bye.